What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Here's my second place Charlotte TG Stun deck. It worked really well. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys it. 3 copies of TG Rush Rhino, 3 copies of TG Werewolf, and 1 copy of TG Striker, the TG engine. You have to run Striker because not only does he let you synchro into a bunch of key cards that, you know, they're pretty important when you need them, but this guy gives you field presence. Like if your opponent has a monster, you can special this and then play like Werewolf or Rhino. So if those cards get warninged or bottomless or something like that or booked, then you still have this guy to protect your life points so that you don't take a direct hit. 3 copies of Photon Saber Tiger. This card is flat out amazing. Like it's basically replaced Tengu in the deck. It's not as good as Tengu, but you know, like you summon it, you automatically go +1. I mean, granted, it is weak by itself, but when you get 2 of them out, I mean, it's 2K. It's 2K when you add Horn onto it. It's 2K with Skill Drain, and then if you have Skill Drain and Horn, or 2 of them in Horn, then it just starts getting stupid. One of my favorite things about this card is that it's level 3, so it actually makes Exceed very, very easy in this deck because you can Exceed with Werewolf, you can Exceed with 2 of these guys, and again, you know, one searches the other. 2 copies of Beast King. Once you get Skill Drain or like you special summon it, then it's freaking 3K. You know, you can normal summon it, beat your opponent down. They try and get slick on you, summon like, you know, something like a Cyber Dragon. You just Horn of the Phantom Beast or activate Skill Drain, run their little asses over. I mean, we need big beast monsters, and just about everything in the deck is like a beast or a beast warrior or something. 2 copies of Thunder King Ryo. Like it's the only non-beast monster type in the deck outside of Striker. It's really just in here because it's a good standalone card that's anti-meta. It still works under Skill Drain, so Skill Drain doesn't really stop the whole no inherent summon thing. It's just a really, really amazing card. 3 copies of Power Duality. It's an anti-meta deck, so that's pretty much staple. The spells Dark Hole, Monsterborn, Pot of Avarice. Pot of Avarice is really good, especially when you need to go into a synchro play starting off with Striker. Like you'll burn through a lot of your monsters, especially if your synchro gets warninged or something like that. So Avarice just refuels you. And when you've gone through your TG engine, again, you just get your TG engine right back. 3 copies of the best card in the entire deck, Skill Drain. I mean, Skill Drain is a lot like the Honey Badger. Like if you ever seen that video, Honey Badger don't give a shit. Like Skill Drain is basically the Honey Badger. Like your opponent plays Dragonfly, Skill Drain don't give a shit. Your opponent plays Stratos, Skill Drain don't give a shit. I mean, it doesn't matter what your opponent does, Skill Drain does not give a shit. 3 copies of Horn of the Phantom Beast, because it works with like everything in the deck. 3 copies of D-Prison, gotta keep those monsters protected. 2 copies of Bottomless, 2 copies of TT. Again, everything in the whole TG engine floats, so TT is like really good in the deck. 2 copies of Road, because when you get aggro, you can basically force your opponent to Mirror Force or Torrent you, but mainly just because of Heavy Storm. Got the Solemn Brigade, which is staple in like every deck. And then our last traps, Dark Bribe, Call to Haunted, TG1, EM1. I sided out TG1, EM1 before. I don't like it in multiples, but 1 copy is good. And for Call to Haunted, basically the main reason I ran this card was because of Beast King, and I used it a lot. Like there were many times where I set Beast King because my opponent had like Gores or something. They would attack, kill it, and then I like Call to Haunted it, ran over Gores and like horned them or something like that. Gonna show you guys the extra inside. For my extra deck, it's pretty basic. With the Exceeds, we've got Utopia, Leviathan, Levier, Acid Golem, and Zenmaines. I never made Leviathan or Utopia at all. I'd probably still run them though, or at least I would recommend running them. The main cards that I used was Zenmaines and Levier as far as the Exceeds. I made Acid Golem once and it ended up winning me a game. It was actually in the last round of Swiss. For my Synchros, we've got Magical Android, Gaia Knight, Orient Dragon. TG Wonder Magician was one of the cards that I loved all day. I used it a lot. I used it like 3 times in the regional. 2 copies of Stardust Dragon because I have 2 Starlight Roads. And then cards that I borrowed, Catastor, Baronic, and Scrap Dragon. I never made Catastor, but I made Brio for Game twice. And I made Scrap Dragon twice. Actually, the way that I kept making Scrap Dragon, it was pretty funny. What I would do is I would special Striker, then I would special summon a Werewolf, then I would chain another Werewolf off the first Werewolf. And I would make Wonder Magician, pop their back row, and then I would Exceed into Scrap Dragon with Wonder Magician and Werewolf. So, and it's actually, Scrap Dragon is really good in this deck because, you know, all the TGs float, and then, you know, you can summon like a Photon Saber Tiger, search another one, and then blow up the one that you just summoned to the field. So it's actually really good. The main cards that I used in the extra deck were obviously Stardust because Starlight Road, Wonder Magician, Brio, and Scrap Dragon. And then here's my side deck. There were two decks that I really wanted to focus on because it's, well, Dark World and Inzektor, just because Inzektors can explode, and once they explode, you basically lose. And then Dark World, much like Heroes, it's a real uphill battle. Game 1 is really, really hard to win. So I felt like those are the two decks that I really wanted to hone in on with my side deck. We've got 2 copies of Banisher, 2 copies of Snowman, 1 copy of Thunder King Ryo. I didn't use the Snowmans at all because I didn't play a single Dino Rabbit or Hero match in the entire event. So Snowman didn't really ever get used. Thunder King came in against Windups when I played him. I played 4 Windups. The Banishers are pretty good against Inzektor because they can't launch any of their monsters. Like, Inzektor Sword gets removed, they can't use their effects. And against Dark World, I would side out my drains and side these in with like Shadow Mirrors. 3 copies of Shadow Mirror, Speak of the Devil. Again, Inzektors and Dark World. 1 copy of TG1, EM1, and 7 tools. This was going to be for Heroes. This was going to be for Heroes or Rabbit, just so I can make sure they couldn't warning me or do something like that. And for our spells, we have Heavy Storm, 2 copies of MSC, and 2 copies of Forbidden Chalice. These were the cards. These 4 cards are what I sided in more times than any in the entire event because I played so many Windups, I played so many Inzektors, and I knew Game 2 I was going to see Royal Decree so much, so I kept siding these 4 cards in all the time. Like, I don't think there was a single match except maybe against the Lightsworn player that I didn't side these in. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck. Let me know what you guys think of TGs. Give me some advice on what you guys think the next deck maybe I should run. I'm looking into just running like tier 2 stuff for the rest of the format. I mean, I've already gotten my invite 3 times this format, whatever. So, you know, just let me know what you guys think. And thank you for watching as always.